Well, I'm going to propagate some mulberry cuttings. I've never propagated mulberry. Had a young man come by one time, found me. I call him my stalker. Contacted me and was coming through the area and stopped, and we had a good several hour long chat, and he gave me a mulberry tree, which is doing pretty doggone good. I went and pruned it pretty good. I've got some pretty big cuttings. That's a 1/2 inch or more in diameter, probably 3/4 down at the bottom. Most of them are pencil sized. Again, never propagated mulberry, but he grew this tree from a seed. So if you can grow one from a seed, I bet you it's a whole lot easier to propagate it. So we're going to try to do that. And let me show you what I'm doing. I've been propagating, so I've got some dip and grow mixed up and ready to go. So we're going to dip that, and I'll show you how I'm going to propagate these. First of all, it's always helpful to know which way is up. If you look at that cutting right there, if I cut that right there, with it by itself, I won't know which end of that necessarily is up and which end is down. These don't grow down, they grow up. So what I always do, just to let me know, to remind me which end is down, I always put a bevel cut on that, on the down side. That tells me pointy end down. And also, I try to put a cut on top about halfway, about 1/2 inch above that node right there. That little node. And the reason being, when I push it down in the soil, I don't want to disturb that node. That's where the tip's going to grow from. So I don't want to disturb that. When I push it down the ground, I want to make sure I'm not pushing it from that and injure that thing. So it's going to go in the ground just like that, beveled in, down. That's about 10 inches long, 8 inches long, something like that. And I've got some pots I'm going to put them in, and I'll show you that in a minute. But just want to show you how I'm cutting them. This is the way I do blackberries, the way I do everything. There's no reason to bevel that bottom end except for me to tell me which way is down. I got to know which end to stick in the ground, and that tells me right there. I can lay all these to the side, get them all mixed up, whatever, but I still know that one's going in the ground. That end is going in the ground. So let's cut some more. That's a good limb right there. I'll bevel that. Cut that off. Then I'll come back and bevel right under that node. That node is going to be where, again, you don't know what a node is, that bump right there. That's probably going to be where it's going to root from. So I want to go just below that and then just above one of the top nodes, giving myself enough room to not hurt as I push it in the ground, to not hurt that node right there. All right. And you'll notice that I've already cut, I just cut this one off. So this end is square, so I need to make it, or this end is flat, so I need to make it beveled because this is the bottom end. This is the top end. I'm gonna go ahead, and this has got a little branch on top of it. I'm gonna leave that little node right there on top of it. Maybe that'll sprout. It'll either sprout from there, it'll sprout from there or there, somewhere. Most of that's gonna be in the ground. I'm gonna try to put it in the ground at least 3/4 of the way. A few more. I may do a bunch of these, I don't know. All right, let me finish these up and I'll show you what I got, and then we'll pot them up. So I've got 2 pots that I'm going to put soil in, potting mix, excuse me, not soil, potting mix in. And this is the way I propagate just about everything I've ever done. And it's worked for me real well. I don't have a whole lot of success in the summertime because of just the heat, Texas heat. But fall and winter, Just a great way to propagate. Okay, so I've got 2 bunches of about 14 each. Bevel the bottom end so I know which end goes in the ground. I've got some dip and grow that I mixed up for another propagating run. Dip and grow is a rooting hormone, and you mix it up different strengths for different cuttings, hardwood cuttings, semi-hardwood cuttings, and softwood cuttings. Softwood would be probably a blackberry, something like that. Just dip it in there. That will help encourage those nodes to start rooting, but I'm going to push those down, way down deep. Because I want most of this to root. Most of this cutting I want to start rooting, to establish as good a root system as it can get. You're not concerned as much about top growth. Notice I'm not pushing on that node right there, that top node. Now, this is a big one. I've never done anything that big before. We're going to give it a shot and see how it does. Put it maybe right in the middle. Supposed to dip it in there for about 5 seconds. I'm probably going a little bit more than that, but that's okay. Sometimes you can do, if you have a big container, you can do more than one. I use, that's the mixing container, mixing beaker that comes with the dip and grow, so I'm just using it. And you can only, it's pretty narrow. You can't get too many of them in there at one time. I put some dry potting soil on top of the wet. I went out and wet these down pretty good, but I put some dry on top of it. So it looks dry, but down underneath it's pretty wet. And I will wet it down a little bit more before I do my final thing that I'll show you. Again, these probably going to have 14, 15 in each of these pots. These pots are probably 12-inch pots. You say, but my gosh, the roots are going to be all intertwined if they root. Yep, they are. But that's okay. I have done many propagations like this. Never done mulberries, but I have done a little bit of everything. Just got through doing some figs. And I've done tons of blackberries. I've done lots of grapes, different kinds of grapes. I've done kiwi. I've done muscadine. And I can't think right now, but I've done a bunch of stuff. The dip and grow looks real cloudy. First of all, I've already used it once for another run of figs and, figs. But it also is kind of old and it's getting a little discolored. I need to get me a new batch of it, a new container of it. And I will put a link to the dip and grow. That's what I use. That's what I like. I always have. I've got some other powdered rooting hormone that I've used. I like dip and grow, so I'll buy some more of this, and let me finish the other pot. I've got these cuttings to put in the other pot, and then we'll show you where they go from here. So there they are, and these are just landscape pots that trees have come in that I've planted over the years. I just very seldom throw them away because I use them. The little 1 gallons, you get maybe blackberries or something like that in. When these get ready to separate, they're rooted and they're ready to put in individual pots. Those little 1 gallon pots are perfect for that. So keep your pots, man. If you got a place to put them, don't throw them away. I have got a ton of them stacked up out here. But I use them, you know. When you use them, you use them. All right, I'm gonna go down there. Like I say, I put a dry layer on top. Just that when I watered it, it compacted some. So I put some dry matter on top, dry mix on top. So I'll water that in real good, and then what I'm gonna do is put them on a heat mat, a seedling heat mat. As you can see, I've used that before. That was some Tempranillo grapes at one time. Those were 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. So these things last forever. So don't be afraid to keep your doodads, your buckets, trees, pots, whatever. So that is mulberry. Again, I've never even eaten a mulberry. If I really, really like them, I'll plant a bunch of these in the row where I've got that one tree. I'll plant a bunch of mulberries in that and just have that as a mulberry row. And then because mulberries get pretty big, can if you let them. But I've got plenty. I could sell them. I could give them away. Things like this, you can always do something with them. Somebody's ready to buy them. Somebody's ready to trade you for them. Shoot, somebody might want to trade who knows what for these mulberries. We're propagating them. I'll let you see how it goes. Stay tuned. Subscribe so you can see what's going on. Subscribe and ring the bell. It's right down there. Do it. Subscribe. Ring it. Mulberries. Propagating mulberries. And we're gone.